Hi everybody, I am back. This feels really weird to say, but yes, I am back. Welcome to my podcast channel, Bonham Louisa Knits. My name is Brittany and I am from St. Louis, where I live with my husband and two small boys. Teddy, who is almost 4, and Redford, who's turning a year old this week, which I'm really excited about. So it's been a minute. It's been a little bit of time since I did this. I was having a little bit of like second guessing about, should I wait to get something done? Or should I just like hop on because I got some packages delivered? And I was like, well, maybe I should wait to finish my object and then I can open all of the packages on camera, which might be really fun, or not. I don't know. So this is going to be a busy episode because I got 2 packages in the mail that I want to open up for you guys. And then I have lots of things to talk about, including this lovely shawl. So she's done. It's my pressed flowers. A little damp from the blocking mat still, so I haven't worn it out of the house, but it turned out really, really great. I am so excited and happy with the way that this looks. It grew a lot in the blocking process, which I was pretty excited about because I like a larger shawl, and she lays really nicely now. So this is the Pressed Flowers shawl by Amy Christophers. I'm not really sure how she says her last name, but I made it out of Farmer's Daughters fibers in their Juicy Decay base. And the lighter kind of speckly white color is Shipwrecked. And then the brown with like purple undertones, that's called Ronk Bronk. And I love it. I would totally knit one of these again. It was a little, it wasn't like the easiest knit that I've ever completed, but it's really cute. So I think I would. And I might do it in like brighter spring colors. I think I talked a little bit about that last time. And I wear it in the front. That's kind of how I do all of my shawls, is kind of draped over in the front and then crossed in the back. And then I kind of tuck these under, little hipster handkerchief. That's my dog Bentley making some noises over there. But you could do it around the sides, and it's been great. So let's see if I do it that way. It kind of lays pretty nicely here. It's still large enough to kind of wrap around. So yeah, I love this. Highly recommend everything about it. I love the pattern. I did modify it, so I didn't do a border chart. So on the original pattern, it does a chart for the border where the flowers are a lot closer together. And I didn't really think I needed it. And I liked this pattern, kind of the way that it was. So I omitted it. Everything else I did, I think, according to the pattern. And then the bind off took forever. I hadn't done this bind off before. And I believe it's called a sewn edge bind off. And it's really pretty, but you have to have like a really long tail that you're pulling through. And it was a pain. It was a complete pain, but I'm glad that it's over. And I would actually do it again in the exact same way. I think it's a really pretty, kind of sharp looking edge, but at the time I did not like it. So yes, Pressed Flowers is done. I'm not gonna put it back on just because it is a little warm in our house right now. So St. Louis has had a bit of a cold snap, and when that happens, I crank the heat. I turn on our fireplace. it's warm in here. I probably need to turn the heat down a little bit because it is starting to warm up outside. So yes, pressed flowers is done. And then I have one more finished object, and it's another pair of vanilla socks using the same pattern that I talked about last time, the vanilla socks toe up afterthought heel. And I think these are great. So the yarn that I used for this came from Joann Fabrics. Yes, Joann Fabrics, which I don't shop there a ton. But I was there looking at quilting things, which like I don't quilt, but I was looking at quilting things and I was like, you know, I should just look at their sock yarn. There was a podcaster, she's from Canada. I cannot think of who it was. If I think of it, I'll pop her down. But anyway, she goes for like more affordable yarn brands, and she talks about Patton's Croy a lot on her podcast, or at least she used to a couple of years ago, which I was like on the back catalog. And I was like, you know, I've never used that. And then I was wandering around the store and I decided, yeah, let's try it out, like affordable yarn. I'm here for it. So this is Patton's Croy. It is a little stiff, a little scratchy. I think this would make wonderful like men's laborer, hiking, outdoorsy kind of camping socks. I think these would be wonderful. Skiing, perfect yarn for that. It seems really durable, like it won't wear out. And the colorway is really cute. I like this little self-striping. This is the Cadet colorway. And I think there's definitely nylon content in this. Wash in water. I don't know what else you would be washing it in. Do not bleach. Do not dry clean. I don't think I was planning on doing any of that. Yes, okay, it's 75% wool and 25% nylon. So definitely a durable fiber. I think I would use this again. I have a lot of sock yarn fingering weight on in my stash right now. So I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but when I go to a yarn store, I feel really, really guilty not buying things. If it's like a locally run, usually it's like a women-owned independent business, and I'm like, oh, I need to support them. So I always want to buy something, but like I can't buy a sweaters quantity every time I go to a yarn store. That just is not in the budget. So a lot of times what I'll do is get like a little notion kind of item. I'm not a huge stitch marker person or like a progress keeper. That's not really my jam so much, but I will look for something like a gauge swatch or a row counter, or what else did I buy recently? Sock blockers, something like that. But now I have a lot of notions, so I don't really need any more notions. So then I got into buying one skein of sock yarn, so I could try a bunch of different fibers, have a bunch of different socks. But it's become a little bit of an issue because now I have a lot of sock yarn, and I don't know if I necessarily need that many socks. So I'm debating about, should I make like some of these into a shawl together, because it is that fingering weight. A lot of them have nylon in it, but I don't think that's the end of the world for a shawl. So if you guys have any ideas on what to do with lots of one skein fingering weight sock yarn, let me know, because I'm not losing steam on socks by no means. I love socks. Actually, I have been holding true to having just a little sock project going in my purse at all times. This is my current sock project. So it's been going well, but at the end of the day, I'm like, do I really need 40 pairs of socks? I don't know. It's not, but like I already have, I don't know. It would be a lot of socks. And I don't wear hand knitted socks year round. So if you have ideas, let me know. And then I didn't do a super great job at explaining the afterthought heel. So actually here it is. So you're just like, you knit your toe up. So you're doing your increases down here. And then once you're into the body of the sock, like the foot, you just put in a strip of waist yarn here. And then you keep knitting, knitting, knitting. And then I'll do a cuff up here. And then once the cuff is done, I go back and I take out this waist yarn, pick up the live stitches, knit the heel, basically the exact same way that I knit the toe, and I have a sock. So highly recommend this pattern. Remember, it is free through that Nurturing Fibers is I believe the publisher, but it's on Ravelry. And if you haven't done that sock construction, it brings me so much joy. It makes me really, really happy because it's mindless knitting at its finest. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. And then I was like, oh, well, I have to have something that's in progress other than like my purse socks. That's not going to be that interesting for people. Oh, I forgot to tell you this colorway, which is beautiful. Love it so much. It reminds me of like I don't know, an Indian wedding or something. Like, it's just really beautiful. That is from a fiber company that I hadn't heard of before. It's called Ho Knit Yarn, Haute KNIT yarn. And it looks like they're from Maine, and that is in their Spicy Rain colorway. This ball band has seen better days, so I'm not going to show it to you super up close. But it's their Jasper Yak sock fingering weight. So 70% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And it says 10% nylon, but I think it means 10% yak. It is super soft, 437 yards, 100 grams. Just beautiful, like beautiful colorway, beautiful stitch definition on there. And then I also really, 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 really like how soft it is. So I don't know how durable this one's gonna be in a sock. Like, this feels durable. This feels dainty and beautiful and lovely. So we shall see. I will keep you all posted on my sock holding up progress. So moving on. I needed something to show you. So I cast on this project 2 days ago, and I have made a ton of progress. It doesn't look super great on the needles, but I am in a spring weather mood. I want it to be warmer. So I'm knitting a little tank top here. This is the Soho top by Kadri, and I'm knitting it in the recommended yarn. This yarn is Sweetgrass Rye Flower, and you hold 2 strands of it together, and it's like this lovely garter stitch pattern. Now, I have never knit a tank top before, but the construction on this was very interesting. And I'm not sure if it's the construction that like every knit tank top garment would have, but it was really cool. So you start at one of these little straps and you just increase, and then you stop and you cut your yarn. And then you do another one, you increase, stop, and then you pick up all of the stitches for the front. And then you put these ones back on your needle. And then you knit like all of the front. And then you cut your yarn. And then you do the same thing on the back in reverse. And then you put them together. So that once you're done with your like arm increases, you make your little armhole. And now I've just joined at the underarm. So I don't think that's giving anything away really. It is a paid for pattern. It is really well written. So I think everybody has their gold standard like pattern designers, and a lot of my gold standard just has to do with whose patterns I started with and how many of those patterns I knitted. You just get used to that writing style for a pattern designer. And that person for me is Andrea Mowry from Drea Renee Knits. I like saying the whole thing. So she's the pattern designer that I started with. And as a result of that, whenever I buy a paid for pattern, I always compare it to her writing style. Now, for some people, like your OG pattern designer is probably gonna be different. Like maybe it's Pearl Soho, or yeah, maybe Pearl Soho, or maybe gosh, why can't I think of what her name is? Petite Knit. Petite Knit. Or I don't know, Caitlin Hunter. Like everybody probably has their own pattern designer that they really love. And I have to say, I like Kadri. This is a Kadri pattern. And the way that it is written makes so much sense to me. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Like I can keep doing this. And I wouldn't say that this is a beginner pattern by any means, but the way that it's laid out and the way that it's written just was very logical to me. And I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at her pattern like library, and I'm gonna buy a lot because I love them. And I already tried this on and it fit pretty well. I think I'm knitting the size 6, maybe, like a 43-inch bust. I like my clothes to be a little bit oversized because my fear is that I'm gonna knit something too small and then it's gonna be clingy in areas that I don't want it to be clingy, and then I won't wear it. So I would rather go on the side of being a little bit larger and looser and flowier, because there's really nothing that I wear that's like too big that I just won't wear it. But definitely the reverse is true. If it feels too small, like I'm not messing with that. So I think this is gonna be a little bit too big, but I think it'll be okay. And, or it might be perfect. Cross our fingers, maybe it'll be perfect. The one thing that I was a little bit nervous about as I was knitting this, my stitches are pretty even, but these straps look really like way too thin. And the cool thing is, once I am done with the body, then you go around and you pick up around the edges of the armholes and along the neckline, and just do a nice polished edge. 3 needle bind off maybe. I'll have to look at the pattern again, but that'll definitely bulk up these straps to be a little bit thicker. I am a bra wearer, so I like it when my straps don't show. And I mean, at the end of the day, like I can just do one of these and then you probably wouldn't see them, but the thicker the strap, the less likely that will show. So that is first spring summer knit for me. I've never really knitted I've never knit a tank top ever. And then let's talk about that yarn a little bit. So from Pearl Soho, and it is the Sweetgrass. And that Sweetgrass is undyed, 65% organic cotton, 35% superfine alpaca. And I said it was the rye flower colorway, 437 yards, 100 grams, made in Peru. Pearl Soho. That is coming out a little more cream than what it is in real life. I think back here it looks a little bit different than up here. So this is more of the true colorway. I'm hoping that this is not a bad color on me. I'm not sure. I don't think my skin tone is quite the same, but it might be a little nude looking. But I love the yarn. I haven't really knit with cotton a very long time. I did like dishcloths, dish towels, a ton of them back in the day, but this is this is like on a different level. This is wonderful. So I've heard some people that are like, oh, it's just really rough on my hands, the cotton content. I don't like it. I haven't experienced anything like that with this. So this has been wonderful. Okay. Oh, we're already 20 minutes in. So those are all my projects. Those are all the things that I'm working on. I think maybe acquisitions are just going to be a separate video, or I just need to go through them really quickly. Let's just go through them really quickly. So first thing, I ordered from Wool Warehouse in London. And I'm sorry, you're gonna hear some crinkling for a little bit. Because I had heard a ton of people on podcasts who talk about Wool Warehouse. And then I was looking at patterns with drops yarn in particular, and it was all over the internet. It was all over Ravelry, like #1 hit drops, #1 hit drops, #1 hit drops. And I was like, you know, where do you get drops in the US? And there is now a store that sells it. So all hope is not lost. But I ordered from Wool Warehouse, which is now like a drops mega superstore, and they were having a summer cotton sale. And I told you I was in a summer spring top mood. It was on sale. I was like, oh, the stars have aligned. I'm gonna do it. The thing that I really wanted to try from them was the Kids Silk, which I think I just got. I don't even remember what I ordered, guys. It's been a while. So the package has been sitting here for so long because I wanted to show you guys first. So it comes in this nice bag. Oh my gosh. Woo, I might have over-ordered. And the first that I got was the Drops Saffron in this nice dusty rose color, which is called color 57. Very creative name. And this is just 100% cotton. It is very nice. I like this a lot. Okay, and that's a nice color. That's gonna look good on me. Okay, so what was I planning on doing with this? That's a great question. There were two patterns, and honestly, now that I'm looking at these, I don't know which one was for which. But the two patterns that I was thinking about doing were the Sunday Tee by Petite Knit. I have never knit a Petite Knit pattern. I know. Never did it. I love her designs, but they freaked me out a little bit because people said she does not hold your hand. You're going to have to like read in between the lines. And I'm telling you, that's frustrating to me. So I was a little hesitant. But then I heard from a lot of people that are like brand new to knitting, and they've knit Petite Knit patterns and have had no issues. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna like put on my brave face and I'm gonna try it. Petite Knit, here I come. So Sunday Tee was one of the patterns that I was looking at, and I believe that's gonna be with this Drops Saffron in this nice rose color. And then the other yarn that I bought is Drops Belle. And this feels a lot more rough than that other cotton did. And it's kind of in this like light seafoam green gray color. This is color 6. A little bit more rough. Has a little bit of like a dishcloth feeling to it. It's 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. It looks like it's gonna be split city in here, like that. I'm not gonna be knitting that in the dark. I'm gonna be splitting my stitches, but very pretty. I like the color. And then the other pattern, which I think this one is for, is Rift by Jacqueline Cieslak, which I've never knit any of her patterns either. So I'm really excited about trying those two out for spring summer knits. So I think those are probably going to jump to the head of my queue on my knitting agenda. So look forward to seeing those, and I'll tell you all about those lovely pattern designers because I'm sure they will be fantastic. And then I have one more acquisition, and we'll switch over to, ooh, guys, oh, this is pretty. Sweet Sparrow yarn. So I'm in her little subscription box. This is the Green Man. One of the most prominent themes in much of Celtic folklore is a deep connection with trees. Beautiful. Ooh, that is a nice color. There's a lot of depth there. This is Swift 80/20 Merino Nylon. Somebody has to give me a pattern. This is too pretty for socks. Okay, I take that back. Socks are lovely and beautiful. This would make a wonderful pair of socks, but the color, ooh, yes. Okay, I really, really, really like this. Sweet Sparrow yarns, I have mentioned before, definitely trust her color dyeing abilities because, I mean, every single time it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it's not so crazy that I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. Like if I were to have gotten this in a box, I would have been like kind of freaked out a little bit. But this, like lovely, kind of neutral, but not really neutrals. Love her dye. Okay. And then with her little subscription, you also get a card that kind of tells you all about the theme, and you get a little stitch marker. So super, super cute, super pretty. I don't know what that'll be, but I'm excited. Okay, so last two things, and then I will talk to you guys soon, hopefully. But chatty things. Recipe book. I'm not really sure which order I went in last time, but we'll start with the book. I read Book Lovers. Yes, Book Lovers by Emily Henry. And it made me laugh out loud, which doesn't happen super frequently when I'm reading. So when that does happen, it just fills my heart. So great story, kind of a woman who perceives herself as being a little bit more uptight, a little bit more rigid, kind of learns to let go-ish, like a little bit, towing the line of letting go and opening up her heart. And it was such a cute book. Oh my goodness. Great summer read. Great like laying out on the beach or like on a cruise ship, maybe. Definitely highly, highly, highly recommend. I love female protagonists in general. And this one just had a good sense of humor to it that I was like, ooh, I like it. And it was like cleverly written. What I hate about rom-com kind of books is when they like dumb down the whole story just to make it a little bit more appealing to a wider audience. No, this is like Gilmore Girls writing. It's clever. It was clever, but then it's playing into book tropes. I enjoyed it, but it's like not too in its head, you know, either where you're like, this is like highfalutin. I don't know where I'm going with this anymore. It was a great book. Highly recommend. Check it out. I got it from my library. It seems to be a really popular one at the moment. And then my last thing, recipe. So we are kind of going all over the place with these, but the one that I made recently that I wanted to share is a slow cooker sausage and peppers recipe with like a red tomato sauce. It called for wine in the recipe. I did not use that. I used chicken broth instead, which it tells you how to do that there. And it was so good. So if you are experiencing some slightly colder days before spring gets here, definitely recommend this one. Super easy, just put it in your slow cooker. I use slow cooker liners a lot now when if I am using a slow cooker, so like cleanup is a breeze. And then just make sure you have some good bread for it. So I think they recommended putting it on like a Italian roll, but I use like little freezer French bread rolls that I absolutely love. They're super good from the freezer section. If I can find a picture of one, I'll put it on. Or just like any actually delicious bakery fresh baked bread would be wonderful for that. So that's it for me, guys. I hope everything is well. I have some plans. Looks like a lot of spring, summertime knitting on the agenda, on the radar. And that's what I will be up to. All right. It was good to see all of you. Remember, comment below if you have a fingering weight yarn suggestion for a pattern to use up some stash yarn. I'd love to hear your suggestions. All right, I hope you are all staying warm and looking forward to spring. See you guys later.